Welcome to The Fight on Matrix Midwest with Randy Carricker and company.
Hi kids, welcome to the program. Great to have you with us. That is Andrew, I'm Randy, and we have a lot coming your way, including a visit with Derek Stevens from Circus Sports.
Really looking forward to that.
Also coming up, should the Blues sell off completely by a week from Friday at the NHL trade deadline? When you buy a ticket, do you want your team to win? And in the list, some of the best bets ever made. But let's get things started with our quick hits. And we had the first of 8 spring training games aired on Matrix Midwest on Monday afternoon, and the Cardinals finished with a dramatic 9th-inning walk-off win over the Marlins. Michael McGreevy got the start, pitching 2 innings with 2 strikeouts while allowing 1 earned run. Fans also got another look at J.J. Weatherholt, along with Nolan Gorman, Mason Wynn, and a mix of other regulars and prospects. It's only 3 games into spring, but can you really take anything meaningful out of results this early? I think the fact that the Cardinals battled in the 9th inning, down by 3, and they were able to come back and win that game. And obviously, it's players that we will not see here on March 26th, but it showed resolve on the part of the Cardinals. And I think that's one thing that Oli Marmol, doesn't matter if it's the 3rd game of spring training or the 3rd game of the World Series, he wants to see resilience. The Cardinals, even though they weren't great last year, that's one trait that they did display. And I think that's one thing that you can take out of spring training.
And they played with a lot of heart. In terms of like the at-bats from Jordan Walker or J.J. Weatherholt, even the starts from Leahy, Libby, McGreevy, those you kind of have to take with a grain of salt. One with the pitchers, especially because they aren't going into the game thinking I'm pitching 6 innings today. They know they're going out there throwing 2, max 3 innings. And they need to show their stuff, but the routines are totally different. And for the at-bats, this is just to see that live baseball come through and get good swings on the ball. So take it with a grain of salt, but also know that this is the build-up period toward opening day.
And with pitching, once the season starts, they will be game planning against specific hitters. They aren't doing that in spring training. They're just working on their best stuff, and it really doesn't matter what the weaknesses of the hitters are. So that's another thing, and I guess that's why you have to be reasonably happy with the first few starts by starting pitchers, is because their best stuff is beating the hitters' best stuff at this point. The NCAA is considering a major tweak to the targeting penalty for college football. Currently, players flagged for targeting in the second half of a game have to sit out the first half of the next game. That's a rule that's strong criticism for affecting games unrelated to the original infraction, including last year's national championship game. Under the proposed change, first-time offenders would still be ejected and penalized 15 yards, but the carryover suspension to the next game would be removed. Repeat offenders could still face harsher consequences. Supporters of the change argue that an ejection alone is sufficient punishment. Well, opponents stress that targeting itself must remain strict to protect player safety. All in favor say aye. Well, here, not kicking a guy out of the game, 15-yard penalty, that's fine. That is enough of a penalty for a player that does target.
I think so too, and if you want to be selective, that's fine. If you want to say, in the college football playoff that you don't want to kick somebody out of, say, even a semifinal game, let alone the national championship, I get that. You shouldn't have to wait the first half of play before coming back out there. But in general, football players hit hard. Right? We know that. They're going out there and they're trying to destroy you. That's what they're taught to do. Yes, you're supposed to tackle properly, but you're told to hit each other hard. So in the case of targeting, it's not like more targeting penalties are going to happen because you're going to remove the carryover game. Mm-hmm. It's still going to happen regardless, and they'll know that next time they're out there that if there is a harsher punishment waiting, maybe they will be a little more selective themselves when it comes to how they hit.
Well, but the thing is, no player is going to give up his playing time so that he can do a helmet-on-helmet hit on an opponent. It just doesn't work that way. When somebody performs a helmet-on-helmet hit, a targeting penalty, they aren't really targeting. It's a mistake.
It really is just a fluke. They're not aiming to lower their head and hit you with the crown of their helmet. They're trying to get you down and hit you hard, possibly have you let go of the football so their team can recover it.
Jeremy Rutherford at The Athletic compiled a number of trade proposals suggested by readers that would impact the Blues at the deadline. As players are inching toward full health, the team could have a reason to move a few guys at the deadline. Justin Falk could and probably will be moved for picks or prospects. Robert Thomas is a name that's being bandied about, but there doesn't seem to be much sensible trade return for him to get a 26-year-old center. We've talked about that. Jordan Kyrou's name comes up, but he's got the no trade. Even combo deals, pairing Falk and Kyrou for a star like Jason Robertson were brought up. That ain't going to happen, okay? So
I'd love it.
Yeah, very few of the deals that the readers proposed seemed realistic.
Well, and that's the beauty of trade talks is you can kind of just ask blindly and hope that something sticks against the wall. There's a lot of number one prospects that readers are hoping to get in return, whether it's from the Wild or the Canadians. But in general, if you're asking for a team's number one prospect, you're not going to get a loaded return with that guy. And so for a guy like Robert Thomas, you for sure could get the team's number one prospect. But does that mean you also get a first-round pick? Does that mean you have to go now with a second or a third and maybe just a bottom six guy or a bottom three in defenseman categories? It's kind of rare to get everything you want back in a trade.
And is that player that you get back in return a better center than Robert Thomas is? You need to improve your team. And Robert Thomas at 26 years old, it's going to be really unlikely that you're going to find a prospect that's better than he is, that is going to be as inexpensive as he is, because remember, he signed his contract when the cap was flat. Now the cap is going up every year, so young players are going to get more and more and more expensive.
And that's a great point, because you can go 1-for-1 with Thomas, but it has to be those extra pieces that end up being better.
We've talked a lot here about leadership in the Cardinal clubhouse with the departure of Brendan Donovan. Down in spring training, new president of baseball operations Chaim Bloom told Tamar Scher that that's something they just can't manufacture.
I have a group of guys who I'm excited for them because I think some of this is going to develop organically. They now get a chance to write their own story, and we don't know exactly what that will look like, and they're going to figure that out. That's part of the cool thing is I think there's a clear path for different guys to find themselves, lead in different ways, come into who they are a little bit more. Obviously, moving Donnie, that was tough. We felt we couldn't walk by what we were able to get, what it could mean for our future. And so we swallowed hard and we did it. But we certainly will miss him, but it also opens up some lanes for some other guys to step up.
And I think there's a lot of personalities. You look at Victor Scott II and what he brings to the table. Weatherholt is talked about as a guy who can be a leader. Mason Wynn is very happy with the idea of being the face of the franchise. Even Jordan Walker. I think there's a lot of potential for leadership among this group of players.
And I think there's a sense of comfortability, too, amongst the young guys, because before, and I think about it from the stance of like in high school, right? When you are a freshman going to be on the varsity baseball team, you kind of stay mute, right? You let the seniors do the talking, and you kind of just, stay in your lane. Now it's like, as Chaim Bloom pointed out, it's like open season to become a leader. If you want to step up, opportunity is there for you to step up and have your voice, and they need a voice in the outfield, in the infield, in that rotation, everywhere.
Yeah, and leadership can grow. You just can't manufacture it. And I think we will see young players rise to the occasion in 2026. In a meeting with reporters last week, Angels owner Artie Moreno suggested that fans don't prioritize winning over other things when they go to a baseball game. He said, quote, "The number one thing fans want is affordability. They want affordability, they want safety, and they want a good experience when they come to the ballpark. Believe it or not," Moreno said, "winning is not in their top 5. Former Mavericks owner Mark Cuban has a similar belief that he shared on social media when talking about tanking. He said, quote, "The NBA has been misguided thinking that fans want to see their teams compete every night with a chance to win. It's never been that way. When I got into the NBA, they thought they were in the basketball business. They aren't. They're in the business of creating experiences for fans. Few can remember the score from their last game they saw or they went to. They can't remember the dunks or the shots. What they remember is who they were with, their family, friends, a date. That's what makes the experience special." Could there, Andrew, actually be data out there that shows this to be true? Or are these owners just trying to rationalize their teams being terrible?
I just can't agree with the fact that winning isn't in the top 5.
Top 5?
Yeah, it's one thing to say it's not the number one component, but in the top 5, I understand affordability, I understand safety, I understand game experience, but really game experience is all 2 of those things wrapped up in one. Winning is everything to the sports fan. Everything. And I know, like, I remember when I go to games who I went with, and those experiences are awesome. But I also think about when I played Little League Baseball. I hated losing. I hated walking off the field and saying, I lost that game. No, I wanted to say I won. And that's what fans want, too, when they go to Busch Stadium.
And if Artie Moreno wants to practice what he preaches, an early season game against Seattle, upper seat in the upper deck at Angels Stadium, $40. Family of 4, $160. That's before parking. That's before concessions. If they want affordability, why don't you give it to them?
Right.
If they don't care about winning, which you aren't going to do this year, at least give them the thing that you say that they want, and that's affordability.
I guess in the top 5, affordability is number 5 and safety is number 4. They're still looking for 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, those are your quick hits here in the fight. And later in the show, we're going to have a little bit of risky business. We're going to build a parlay, and we're looking forward to that. But coming up, we're going to talk some gambling with Derek Stevens of Circa Sports. He's coming your way in the fight. Welcome back to The Fight. Since the advent of legalized sports wagering here in Missouri in December, Circa Sports has made their way into the state. And the founder and CEO of Circa Sports, Derek Stevens, is kind enough to join us here in The Fight. Derek, always good to have a little gambling talk. We do it every day here in The Fight, but it's great to have you here with us.
Great to be here in this great new studio of yours. It's terrific. Great
Pretty
day.
one.
Thanks for having me.
You decided to enter the Missouri market. Why Missouri?
Well, Missouri is the 6th state for Circa Sports. We do want to grow across the country, but with our model, we run this low hold model. So our model is not going to be for every state. And we were very enamored with the way the regulatory environment was set up in Missouri. We thought the regulators did a good job on setting Missouri up for success in the long term. So we felt it was worth the investment for Circa Sports to come here. And the nice thing about it is we love coming to Missouri. So we've had some great food, some great times, and we've met a lot of great people.
And we love having you here. How do you kind of look at other sportsbooks, and say this is how Circa Sportsbook is different?
Yeah, I mean, I think in Missouri, it's important for some of the newer sports bettors to realize you really need to have multiple apps on your phone. And I think Circa Sports is a little bit different than others. I think many of the sports books are really maybe more similar, and ours is a little bit different in as much as we run this low hold model. And what that means is we generally have better odds, is the general way to say it. Sometimes when you're looking at money lines and point spreads, it's a little harder to see, but it's very easy to see when you take a look at futures. Like if you take a look at who's going to win the World Series, who's going to win the National League, who's going to win the Super Bowl, who's going to win a golf tournament, like on a regular basis, who's going to win a golf tournament or a NASCAR race. And you take a look at the field, you're going to find that Circa Sports generally has better odds on most. Now, we just came off a big tournament a couple weeks ago. When I say most, we probably have better odds on almost everyone other than Scotty Scheffler, or something like that. You might have one situation, but that's why it's so important to shop. And I think you're going to find Circa Sports many times is going to provide better numbers for you.
Like that.
And I think I want to go back to the no holds thing, because there are people that sometimes are frustrated when they go to the other apps, and your app is different in that way, right?
Our app's different in that way. I mean, most other sports books are holding between 14 to 16%. Our hold percentage is about 3%, and that's kind of what we target. So I would say we're more of an old school sports book. Mm-hmm. We don't back off when someone wins a lot. We actually love having sharp bettors, smart bettors, winning bettors, because we gain a lot of information. Whereas maybe other sports books, they might limit you or something like that. We don't do that. We really kind of celebrate people that win, but we learn from them, because we know we believe markets are sharper than just our team. We got a big team, but markets are always sharper.
I want to tell people that you have now a relationship with the Blues. On Monday night, you were involved with the Blues for Kids Casino Night, and we know that's a great organization to work with. But what prompted you to join the Blues, and how's that relationship going?
It's been great. I mean, once we got the license here in Missouri, we quickly jumped to try to develop some relationships. The St. Louis Blues are the first team that we developed a deal with. We've had a great time with them. They invited us to be part of the Blues for Kids event last night. Met a ton of people. It was terrific, and And now as we're developing in Missouri, we're developing relationships with other sports teams, other networks and things like that, and having an opportunity to kind of grow our business and meet a lot of great people.
And a lot of your success, Derek, is tied to taking chances in marketing. And so I want to know, is there one idea that people thought was crazy that you presented but just ended up working out in your favor?
Well, there's one that kind of stands out. When we built at Circa, our brick and mortar in downtown Las Vegas, we built an outdoor venue called Stadium Swim. And if you haven't seen it, you gotta take a look at some pictures. It's a rooftop. It's not a pool. It's an aqua theater. So there's 8 different like pools, 143-foot screen. And we built it in Las Vegas. There's 330 days of sunshine, so it's open year-round. It's open day and night, so even in the winter, it's more like a big hot tub party, things like that. So when we built this, and we went to New York for financing, all the bankers said, "Don't bring it up, because no one will understand this, because they think this is a crazy idea." I'm like, "No, it's a big signature feature." Because, well, you're gonna have the nicest pool downtown Vegas. I go, wait. This has nothing to do with downtown Vegas. This has nothing to do with Las Vegas. This aqua theater, Stadium Swim, we built this to be the greatest place in the history of the world. And they're like, "Wow, is that hyperbole?" Like, no, that's what we did. So and the banker said, "Whatever you do, don't bring it up, because if you do, no one's going to believe you." And it's turned out that it's been pretty good.
Super popular.
Yeah. And we know that when the marketing team comes to Derek, he doesn't say no, because when you go to the boss and say, "Boss, we want to take money out of your wallet," that's one of the things we have going on right now, right?
Yeah. So we started this. We launched it yesterday. Our marketing team, they come up with these corny ideas like win Derek's wallet. They walk around, they think my wallet's a little too thick. And these guys come up with this idea, and they say, "Okay, well, how about winning a piece of your wallet?" So that rolled. It was a working title that turned into reality. And what we're doing is, if you wager on Circa Sports app between now and March 15th, you wager $100, you get a share of the wallet. If you wager $1,000, you get 2 shares. You wager a lot, like $5,000. This is over the course of like almost 3 weeks. You get 3 shares of the wallet. So the wallet size is $250,000, which our marketing team had a lot of fun pretending to have a wallet with 250 grand of cash in there. And then on March 16th, we're going to figure out how many shares of the wallet there are, and we're just going to credit everyone's account with their share.
Say less.
So that's all. That's all you got to do. It's pretty straightforward.
Great.
Well, and I like that you brought up that customer experience angle, because that is you in a nutshell. For people that don't know about you, you love the customer experience. At one point, you gave out 1,700 plane tickets around COVID just to bring people to Vegas. Like, why is it so important to you to be the leader in customer experience?
Well, I mean, I think when we were in that period, I can't believe you remembered that. That's amazing. We did that with all the flights, because it was like the, let's say 2021-ish, and we felt that so many people were cooped up for so long. Vegas wasn't completely open, but it was open with some restrictions, like I think 50% capacity. And we just felt it was important to get people out of the house and to come together again. And I thought that was actually healthy to do. So we were excited about it, and because so many people were reluctant, we decided to go to the airlines. We got some pretty good deals. I mean, it's not like buying flights today.
Right.
It's not like
I'm
that
sure
at all.
it was a nice pretty penny off.
Yeah, so we just thought, okay, it's a great way. Let's start something up. Let's bring people to Las Vegas. Vegas needed help, and I think people needed help and had to get out of the house. So it was just the right time.
And another marketing idea, you're still sending lucky winners to Vegas, right?
We are.
Right now.
We are. We absolutely are. Handful of different events and things like that are going on. Yeah, we love our visitors coming to Las Vegas, and they have an opportunity to hang out at Circa, so it's usually a pretty good winning weekend.
And now you talked about sharp bettors, people that bet a lot of money. I'd love to know, what's the most money you've personally bet on a game or a parlay or something like that?
You know what? If I answer that, you're gonna think, oh, that's not that much, because nowadays, what you're gonna find, the answers are gonna be much higher than when I was maybe your age. And the reason I say that is, when I would bet on, let's say, on the Super Bowl, on going back the years of the greatest show on turf. That was an incredible Super Bowl. And I made a bet, on the Rams that year. It was a big bet for me, but nowadays people bet differently. So for me, I think on that game, I probably bet like 25 grand. It was a pretty big bet for me 20 some years ago. Now people are betting a lot more early, but they're not really betting on a game. So this last Super Bowl, so between the Patriots and the Seahawks, you're going to have people that are going to bet $100,000 on the Monday after Championship Sunday on, let's say, the Seahawks. But it doesn't mean they like the Seahawks. They're only doing it because they think the line's going to move. Mm-hmm. And then if they feel a little more information is going, they might bet another $100,000 on the Seahawks. But doesn't mean they're going to be rooting for the Seahawks at kickoff, because if the line moves, then they're going to bet the Patriots the other way. Or maybe take the Patriots money line. So today, people bet much differently than they used to. I would say, like today, the Blues come back after the Olympic break on Thursday night, right? You're going to have people that are going to make a bet now, but it doesn't mean that that's who they really want by the time the puck drops, because people are now betting, treating it more like a market, if you know what I mean.
Right.
So that's why, if you ask me, that was a big bet for me back in my day of betting.
And you won, so that's great.
But now these numbers they've just exploded.
The NCAA tournament obviously is huge. How can people benefit from Circus Sports on the app and at the brick and mortar once we get to March and the NCAA tournament?
This is a perfect example where take a look at Circus Sports. If you're going to make a wager in the NCAA tournament, and it's right now the odds are who's going to win the whole thing. As soon as Selection Sunday happens, you're going to have who's going to win, each one of the regions, things like that. Those odds will be out on that Sunday night. But right now, if you're going to bet on the NCAA tournament, Circus Sports is a great app to have on to do your shopping. Whether you use our app or not, I obviously I'm biased. I'd love you to use Circus Sports. But if you don't, it would be a very important element to see. Like, why does Circus Sports have one team at 28-1 and everybody else has them at 20-1? So you could infer there's a reason why our guys and our number is what it is. And if you absolutely love this particular team, well, you ought to bet the 28-1. Why aren't you going to feel bad they only bet 20-1? So I think futures really stands out where Circa kind of differentiates itself in the market.
Now, you mentioned having 6 different sports books on your phone so that you can kind of go back and forth and see what odds are looking like. And I have a lot of friends that are probably sitting at home today thinking, well, you talked a lot about Circa Sports, but that doesn't make me want to download it. What makes me want to download an app and bet on a service like that is the promotions that are offered, are the bonus bet opportunities, things like that. Do you ever think about those type of things for like small fries in the world that, are just placing $10, $5 on things, but you're giving them money to incentivize them to be on your app?
Well, I think that's kind of where our campaign, our first big promotional campaign in Missouri of Win in My Wallet, is out there. I mean, for people that are betting $10 on a day, but we're doing this for 2.5 weeks, you're going to get a share of the wallet. So even if you're a $10 bettor, if you're betting $5, you're as long as you get up to $100 cumulatively in this 2.5 weeks, you're going to get a share of the wallet. So I think it's something that's pretty easy to achieve on a basic level.
Sure. I guess my question though was for other things like throughout the year. Are you guys constantly doing those things for people?
We'll do more of these things, but again, the key thing that I think everybody has to remember with Circa Sports, which differentiates us, I would say if you run a sports book that has a 16% hold, it's really easy to say, hey, Andrew, why don't you download 100 and we'll match you with 100? Mm-hmm. Because with a 16% hold, we'll get it all back within about 4 bets, right?
You'll get it back within minutes.
Yeah. So our model is a little bit different. We feel that Circus Sports is like everyday value. So that's kind of where we've really got to get our point across, is that we're going to provide better odds every day you wake up. It's worthwhile looking at Circus Sports, our app.
Well, Derek, it's great to have you in Missouri. Great to have you as part of our community with Circus Sports. And you're coming back for a Cardinal game in the summer, right? Absolutely.
We're staying at Ballpark Village, and boy, what an incredible place. I cannot wait to come back to a Cardinals game. What year did the new stadium open?
06. It's 20 years old now.
Okay, so I was 06. That was the year the Cardinals beat the Tigers in the World Series.
That's correct.
And I was at that World Series. And that was the World Series where the Tigers had a lot of pitcher.
They were throwing it around.
They had a lot of. This is where like the next year was all pitcher fielding practice, all PFP, right. All that. That's right. It was back in the days of Bonderman and the whole crew. I remember that. And what an incredible stadium, what an incredible crowd. So I'm looking forward to coming back to St. Louis.
You always have an open invitation here too. All right.
All right.
Thank you, Derek Stevens. He is the founder and CEO of Circus Sports. Coming up, speaking of gambling, our favorite bets of all time in the list. Well, with Derek Stevens joining us in our last segment, we thought we'd give you our top betting stories in the list. And Andrew, my number 3 is a great one. FanDuel paid Anthony Prince of Newark a full 750-1 payout that he was promised when their automated system mistakenly generated long odds on the final moments of this Broncos-Raiders game in 2018. The company refused to pay the bet initially, placed it at Sportsbook at the Meadowlands, saying it didn't feel obligated to pay for obvious errors. But FanDuel reversed field after consulting with state gambling regulators. They said, quote, above all else, sports betting is supposed to be fun. As a result of a pricing error this weekend, it wasn't for some of our customers. Prince made his bet before that game-winning field goal by Denver's Brandon McManus. He was handed his 750-1 ticket with about a minute left in the game as the Broncos trailed by 2 points on their final drive. Denver kicked the field goal with 6 seconds left to win. FanDuel says its system should have calculated the odds at 1-6, meaning a bettor would have had to wager $600 in order to win 100. Prince bet 110 on the Broncos, but was stopped when he went to collect from FanDuel's betting window. All told in this one, 12 customers, including Prince, were given incorrect odds during an 18-second computer glitch. FanDuel wouldn't say how much in total the company paid, but said they promised payouts printed on the tickets or made online would be honored.
Oh, that's awesome. Why can't that be me?
18 seconds, man.
And that's amazing, too, because imagine you're just live betting that game, right?
Oh,
You're
yeah.
actively on that app. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I think the Broncos are going to go down and kick a field goal. They probably would have placed the 1-6 odd bet. But they see 750-1 odds, and you're probably you're thinking it's fake at first, and then you're just hammering place bet, place bet, place bet, and you come away with a big win like that. I've seen errors firsthand before that even a company like FanDuel still makes today. It's amazing what one little computer glitch can do to a company.
Yeah, and he was at a window. That makes it even better.
Yeah, that
because
was
somebody
awesome.
had to see that ticket, right?
And be like, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, my number 3. The first of my 2 2022 gambling stories starts with Mattress Mac. Jim Mattress Mac McIngvale is a Houston furniture mogul famous for placing massive multi-million-dollar sports bets, notably on the Houston Astros, and he hedges high-stakes customer promotions while he does it. Yeah, that's right. He basically uses your mattress deals for his gain. His most famous win occurred in 2022 when he secured a record $75 million payout by betting on the Houston Astros to win the World Series, which covered refunds for customers who bought mattresses. How'd he do it? Well, he ran a free mattress promotion at Gallery Furniture for events like the Super Series or the NCAA tournament. If the team wins, he pays out, but uses his massive sports bets to cover the costs, essentially using the bets as insurance. So you get a free mattress, he gets rich. And he has high-profile losses, too, like losing $4.1 million on the Houston Cougars and $10 million on the Astros in 2023. However, those both came after he won $75 million, so I think he's doing okay. Also, a genius when it comes to funding his addiction.
An absolute genius. What a great idea. I wonder why more people don't do this.
All right, let's hear from him.
$3,000 or better, have it delivered the same day. It's important the customers get the furniture in their home. Have it delivered the same day. If the Astros win the World Series, you get your money back. I bet so far $10 million at various sports books. One place I got 12 to 1, one place I got 10 to 1, other places 5 to 1. Blended average is 7.5 to 1. So if the Astros win the World Series and we get back $75 million plus the $10 million investment, and the $75 million will pay back the customers, and we'll have some delighted customers with some remarkable stories to tell.
Yeah, you know, their story is, what the heck? You used my money to do what?
Yeah, right. To bet to win $75 million on the World
Right.
Series. Pretty amazing. Yeah, and he's set for life. He doesn't even need to have gallery furniture doing anything for him anymore. That's fantastic. All right, my number 2. According to Sports Odds history, Indiana opened with the longest odds, plus 10,000, of any national champion since at least 2001, the earliest year in their database. There hasn't been an MLB, NBA, NHL, or college basketball champion that opened with longer odds than Indiana. But this past season, one bettor won nearly $300,000 thanks to well-placed Indiana futures bets on DraftKings. Check it out. Here they are. 2 bets, $416.67, won more than $50,000, and a second bet of $2,000 made him or her $242,000. Must have been having a really good night to bet that much on Indiana before the season started, but it paid off to the tune of $292,417,007. Oh, by the way, according to Sports Odds history, the only Super Bowl champion with longer opening odds, the only team in history, the 1999 St. Louis Rams. More than any college football team, any college basketball team, NBA, NHL, MLB, the longest odds of any champion ever, the 1999 St. Louis Rams. More on them a little bit later.
This Indiana football team was special. And we knew that they were good because they finished in the college football playoff last season. Yet why didn't everybody else, like us, you and me, Randy, do the same thing this sports bettor did and buy into Kurt Signetti? Why didn't we do that?
Maybe we should have, but we were thinking of Texas, and we were thinking of Arch Manning. We were thinking of celebrity. We weren't thinking that Fernando Mendoza was a Heisman Trophy winning superstar, ~1 pick in the draft quarterback. We didn't see that coming.
No, not at all. So you're right. He probably had a really fun night in Indiana. Maybe he was even at a casino, won $2,500 and said, I'm just going to throw it all on my football team and have a good day.
Pretty good.
And he had a great day after the national
really
championship. All right, my number 2, one of my favorite sports moments of all time was when Kentucky Derby winner Rich Strike, who wasn't even supposed to be in the Derby that year, won as the second largest long shot ever at 80 to 1 odds. The story of Rich Strike itself should be a movie, and maybe if I win big money like these bettors someday, I'll produce it. The horse was an alternate and didn't get into the field until Friday when Ethereal Road, I believe. Ethereal Road, thank you, was scratched. After being announced as Ethereal Road's replacement, expectations were low for Rich Strike. He only had 1 career victory on his resume and hadn't finished higher than 3rd in any of his past 5 events. Okay, now the money-making part. I'll start with an Indiana family who, as a family, bets on the Derby winner every year. They won $25,000. Another set of Indiana brothers hit the Superfecta, that same race, which I don't know if you know what the Superfecta is, but you have to get the first 4 finishers of the race in the correct sequence.
Wow.
They did that. They placed a $1 bet on that, and they made big money. Yeah, $321,000 of money. And lastly, another bettor hit a $5 trifecta, which is 3 of the 4. The Superfecta is 4, trifecta is 3. That paid out $74,000.
That's a pretty good $5 investment.
Yeah, that's why I think people love the Kentucky Derby, because you get odds like that.
$1 to get $321,000 on the Superfecta.
And you know those guys placed 50 bets that day.
Yeah.
Right? They just did $1 here, $2 there, and they didn't even know they won. Right? They're probably going back and scanning the tickets until something, or maybe the machine goes off like a slot machine. Ding, 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 ding.
Amazing. All right, my number 1. And we already referenced this. Before the 1999 NFL season, after the Rams had signed Trent Green and Adam Timmerman, traded for Marshall Faulk and drafted Torrey Holt, and then brought in Mike Martz as offensive coordinator and had a healthy Isaac Bruce, I thought they'd do well. I went on KMOX one night before a Cardinal game, and after much analysis, said on the air that I thought they'd go 12-4 and make the playoffs. The schedule looked good for them. Barry Sanders had retired. And in the NFC, I thought that they would be really good, maybe even make the Super Bowl. Well, after the show, I walked over to Busch Stadium, and when I walked into the media lounge, the first person I saw was Jack Buck, who asked me, "Are you drunk?" I said, "No, what are you talking about?" He said, "The Rams aren't going 12-4. Well, they didn't. They went 13-3, and not only made the playoffs and went to the Super Bowl, they won it. And I can't tell you how many people have come up to me over the years and said they went to Vegas before or during that season and put money on the Rams, especially before the year at plus 15,000, because I said they'd be good. Never got a cut of any of those bets, but I was glad to help out. And oh, by the way, when Trent Green got hurt, I didn't think they'd go 13-3. I knew Kurt Warner was good and could get the ball into the hands of his playmakers, but I didn't see 41 touchdown passes coming. So I was right, but it wasn't all me. Kurt had a little to do with this too, and Mike Jones.
Well, and let me ask to everybody out there that placed this bet, why didn't you give Randy a cut? Why didn't you give him a percentage?
No.
Yeah, Randy, you're not asking for 50% of the cut here. All you need is just, your fair share. If you said they're going to be 12-4, why don't we multiply 12 by 4, which is 48, and every one of those guys or gals give you $48?
No. You know those people that come on the radio and say, "I've got the lock of the week for you, it's free," and then it always winds up costing you money, and then they keep calling you and calling you and calling you? I'm not going to be that guy.
Well, you only did it one time, and you were right.
That's all I need.
So you're batting 1,000 right now.
I don't know if I did it only one time, but somebody else might have lost money on bets that I had suggested.
And we're not going to believe that. You did it one time. You got it right.
All right.
All right, my number one. I love this story, Randy.
Yeah.
I
Tyler
love
says
this
every
story.
day?
No, Randy gave table tennis yesterday. That was a great bet. Yeah. All right, I love this story, though, because it's everything sports and betting are supposed to be. Reckless hope, blind loyalty, and nerves of steel. Yeah, that was St. Louis Blues fan Scott Berry when he threw $400 on his team in dead last in the league, rode it all the way to the Stanley Cup, and then refused to cash out even when people are dangling $75,000 in front of him. Here's the ticket. That takes an unreal amount of coconuts, Randy. Mm-hmm. Most of us would have folded. The second prop swap came calling. But this guy sat through every game against the Bruins, ignored the noise, ignored Twitter calling him an idiot, and just trusted the ride. I can tell you this, I would have hedged, personally. And here are the offers he had.
Down 3-2 against Dallas?
Oh, absolutely, I would have
No doubt.
hedged. Here are the offers he had throughout the 7-game Stanley Cup Series. Pre-game, Game 1, $41,000, didn't take it. Then $28,000 in Game 2. Game 3, $48,000. Game 4, $38,600. And then Game 6, he had $75,000 dangled in front of him. And he's like, nope, I'm trusting my boys. Then it goes all the way to Game 7, as we know, and he hits big. I probably would have cashed out at $41K, the very first offer that they sent to me, and regretted it for the rest of my life. Scott Berry doesn't have to regret anything. He won $100,000 on our St. Louis Blues.
That's for a $400 bet.
It's over. The game is over. The series is over. The wait is over. And the St. Louis Blues are the Stanley Cup champions for the first time in franchise history.
That's so awesome. That's great. And congratulations to Scott Berry still. That's great.
Do we have the video, Tyler, of him celebrating? Oh, all right.
Yeah.
You're going to see it here in a moment. Champagne bottles all around.
Oh, that's what it's all about right there. Like you said at the top, that's what betting is all about right there.
And I always cheer for my friends. And I love that he had a bunch of friends there celebrating him. I don't care if it's me that takes the money from Vegas or if it's you, I will always cheer you on.
Yeah. That is the list. And with all this betting talk today, we're going to build a parlay next in the fight. All right, it is time for us to build a parlay, and the NHL is coming back. Wednesday night games, including you've got the Colorado Avalanche at Utah, and you have a very angry but a very good future MVP of the league this year, Nathan MacKinnon. And Nathan, you saw the look on his face at the end of the gold medal game when he got the silver. And we're going to take a look at. We actually don't have him
the
yet.
goal scorer is not out just yet.
But you know what? He's going to lead his team to a victory on the money line. Minus 125, conservative bet. But yeah, MacKinnon and Colorado beat Utah. in their first game back.
Conservative, but also not that much. I mean, that line is a lot closer than I thought it would be against Utah, even on the road.
Yeah, so that's a good one. We like it. And you're going to go with the NHL as well.
I am. And you know, I was scrolling up and down and I thought to myself, you mentioned Nathan McKinnon, and I was like, who had the big game for Team USA? Oh, look at that. The Devils play. And Jack Hughes is that guy.
Go.
They're back at home. You know the fans are going to show out for him and the Devils that night. Give me them at home. They're a home favorite. Even though Buffalo is still in the minus department in the odds, I will take the Devils. I will take Jack Hughes.
Very good play. All right. And there you have it. We're at plus 232 with the Avalanche and the Devils. And there you have it. We have built a parlay
$332.
Not bad at all.
Yeah, I'll take that.
There you have it. Coming up, we've got Take It or Leave It, and we've got Story Time with Uncle Randy, and Today in Sports History is coming your way in the fight. It is time now for Take It or Leave It, and I don't know if you saw this, but Tarek Skubal is only going to pitch one game in the World Baseball Classic. He's about to enter a contract here with the Tigers. Obviously, he's represented by Scott Boras. That doesn't help. And Skubal told reporters he's only going to throw a start in pool play and then be shut down after that, possibly returning to watch the finals if the USA makes it, but even then, only as a fan. So with Skubal leaving, take it or leave it, we are going to see Clayton Kershaw pitching in the WBC.
Oh, man.
He's on the team.
I know. I'm going to leave it.
You think they'll get a replacement, huh?
I think they'll get a replacement.
I think we're going to see Clayton Kershaw pitch in the WBC.
I wouldn't hate it.
Might even start a game.
Right. I wouldn't hate it, but I think we'll see a replacement for Skubal. I don't like that he's only going to pitch one game. Why are you even going?
That's really weak.
Why are you going?
Yeah, why bother?
All right.
Yeah.
Mine for you, Randy, is this. So when we were talking with Derek Stevens of Circa Sports, you brought up March Madness. And then, March Madness was on the mind, and it begins in less than a month. And I have a more likely to happen take it or leave it for you today.
Good.
Take it or leave it. It's more likely that SLU makes the Sweet 16 than it is Illinois makes the Final Four.
Yeah, it's hard to make the Final Four, hard to win 4 games in a row, especially if SLU is playing here in St. Louis. They're a Sweet 16 team.
I think so,
before
too.
20,000 at Enterprise Center, I think it is more likely that SLU will make the Sweet 16. Just put it this way, more likely that SLU will win 2 games than Illinois will win 4.
Okay, if I changed this to SLU making the Elite 8 and Illinois making the finals, what would you do?
I would play the chalk there, and I would say it'd be more likely that SLU would make the Elite 8.
I still think so as well, because
really hard
it's
to make the finals.
so hard to get to the Final Four, like you said, let alone the NCAA National Championship game.
I like it. All right, that is Take It or Leave It, and now it's time for us to bring you Story Time with Uncle Randy, and we're going to spin the wheel. We're going to come up with a decade, and I think I messed up the decades in our last show, by the way. Yeah, so we're going to go back to the 1970s. Okay, 1970s story, and we're going to come up with a sport for you, and I will come up with a little story. 1970s. Oh,
hockey.
This is great.
It's going to be hockey.
1970s hockey. Okay.
The last pick.
We've done this before, have we not?
We have.
1970s hockey.
We might have done this Monday morning, right? Because didn't we talk Scotty Bowman? Not Scotty Bowman.
Yeah, I think we did.
Ken Dryden. We talked Ken Dryden.
Yep, we did. So 1970s hockey. In 1979, this is kind of really unfair, but the Blues had the 2nd pick in the draft, and they drafted, and we might even be able to find this highlight, the commercials. They drafted Perry Turnbull, who lives in St. Louis, great player, drafted him with the 2nd pick in the draft, and immediately, Ralston Purina owned the team, and the arena at that time was called the Checkerdome. Ralston Purina has a checker for their logo. And so they made these commercials with an 18-year-old Perry Turnbull saying the Blues are putting the check back in the Checkerdome. And you talk about the weight of the world being on the shoulders of an 18-year-old guy, because you've got Federico, you've got Sutter, you've got Wayne Babbage, you've got some really good people. But poor Perry in 1979-80 makes the team as an 18-year-old, and they build their marketing plan around him. Now, he turned out to be a really good player, really important player for that 80-81 team that finished with the 2nd most points in the league. Really good player. Actually, we talked about Doug Wickenheiser in the Monday Night Miracle. Perry got traded for Doug Wickenheiser, but he was really put under a lot of pressure at the end of the 70s when the Blues drafted him. Wound up being a good player, and obviously he's still here. But if you ever run into Perry Turnbull, ask about the check being put back in the Checkerdome, because that was an unfair amount of pressure that the organization put on number 9 to start his career.
18 years young, and
Yeah.
yep, you're the guy, right? You're going to hone in all of this for us, and we're going to put all the pressure on you. That's a tough position to be in.
And then he and I think Bernie Federko, and I don't remember who the player was, but they would take turns cooking. So another thing that happened is that 18-year-old Perry Turnbull is charged with cooking dinner for a couple of his teammates that he's roommates with. Apparently didn't go very well.
So second overall pick.
They didn't have DoorDash at that time.
No Uber Eats.
Yeah.
Second overall pick.
Yep.
What is like the signing bonus for a second overall pick?
Oh, it couldn't have been $100,000.
Right.
It had to be like 50 grand.
So
or
it's
something
not like a
that.
wide receiver that has to take out all of the veterans to dinner.
Yeah, no.
It wasn't
He
a moment
doing
like that after he couldn't cook. He
Yeah.
had to go out to dinner with a signing bonus.
Yeah. So there's a little 1970s hockey for you in the Ask Uncle Randy portion of the program. All right, now it's time for this date in sports history. And you might not know this, but in 1980, the U.S. didn't win the gold medal when they beat the Soviet Union. They won the gold medal on this date in 1980 with a 4-2 win over Finland at Lake Placid. That came obviously after the Miracle on Ice against the favorited Soviet Union team. But the USA had to come back late against Finland. They did, and they won the gold medal. Here's Al Michaels. Oh, he already said it. He already said the impossible dream has come true. But yeah, what an unbelievable time in America that was.
Oh man, imagine they lost that game. We wouldn't have
yeah.
a movie about Miracle.
No.
We wouldn't have really any strong stories from that 1980s team. It would have been a huge win that they beat the Soviets, but if you don't win the gold medal, that story just kind of falls apart.
I don't know, because that was huge to beat Russia, the Soviet Union at that time. And there it is. Thank you, Al. The other thing, the movie about Kurt Warner, Miracle.
Uh-huh.
American
Underdog?
American Underdog, yeah. It ends with the Ravens game in the opener in 1999. It doesn't go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, you're right.
So.
It does. I just don't know. I mean, that story, yes, it's built around beating the Soviets, but does it lose its kind of lore if you don't win
I don't
the
think
gold?
so, because so many people don't even realize that wasn't the gold medal game.
Yeah, that is true. If you asked anybody, if you asked 100 people on the street, they'd probably say
That
it
won
was the
gold
Soviets.
medal. Yeah. Hey, our next Cardinal telecast is March 7th from Florida. We here, The Fight, on every day here on Matrix Midwest and the Matrix Midwest app. We're on at 5 p.m., 10 p.m., and then again at 7 a.m. Plus, at 7 p.m. on 4 On, if you want to try that, do your streaming there. Just Google 4 On. The next morning, 7 o'clock, don't forget, we're on too. And if you want to participate in the fight, just log on to matrixmidwest.com, use the Character and Company drop-down and fill that thing out, and we will Zoom at about noon on Tuesdays. Great job, sir. Thank you.
Great job by you.
Thanks to Derek Stevens for joining us, and as always, a superb job by our director, Tyler Klaus. I'm Randy Carricker, and we thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next time right here in The Fight. So long, everybody.